Greetings, everybody, and welcome to this segment of Navigating Leadership Realities. In this segment, we're going to look at purpose versus a vision, and how do we use purpose as our chart to navigate uncertainty. Jamie, I'm curious, when you hear that word purpose, as opposed to, say, a vision, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, thanks, Colleen. So for me, vision is, if we were in a boat, it's that horizon line that we're aiming for, and it's quite a ways into the future, and it's quite broad in nature. And whereas I see purpose as something that is right here, right now, that we can focus on and do something with now, we aren't aiming towards it. So the purposes an organization's or a team's or a person's reason for being. And so when we can ground our actions based on purpose versus vision, we can do something differently right now, which is really important, I think, when we talk about navigating uncertainty. I'm curious about what your perspective is on that, Colleen.
I think that your perspective of providing that horizon is just brilliant, right? If we could switch over to the next slide, and then we're looking a little bit at those definitions for individuals and the idea behind what a vision is and what a purpose is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely a shift in horizon lines and timelines, and looking at the differences between a purpose with respect to a vision. So I mean, here when we're looking at that vision, right? So it's what we aspire to be. But when you're looking at the purpose, it's actually living what it is, through our deeply held beliefs and values on an individual and on, pardon me, an organizational level. And like it says here, a purpose is the constant that lights that way forward.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the couple of examples here with respect to what a vision statement looks like or what it talks about, and what we're looking here with respect to a purpose statement, it puts it into a bit more perspective, and particularly it's something that's, purpose is something that's motivational, right? Connects to the heart and the head.
It does. And we do have these few examples here, and I think it would be worth sharing them. So we have this vision statement from the Swedish company Ericsson, and their vision is to be the prime driver in an all-communicating world, which is very broad, right? It's very broad. It's not something that is tangible right here, right now, that we can do something with. Whereas if we contrast that with the purpose statement of the REA group, whose purpose statement is to make the property process simple, efficient, and stress-free for people buying and selling a property. When are they buying and selling a property? Like right now, right? It's not something that's way off into the future, five or more years. So it's just very much more motivational, like you said, and it's something we can do something with every day. And we have a few more examples of purpose statements here, Colleen. So the first one is from ING, the financial services company, and it's empowering people to stay a step ahead of life and in business. How about Kellogg?
I love this one because it's something we can all relate to, right? We all need to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, Kellogg here, they're not just talking about selling food products. They're talking about nourishing families so that they can flourish and thrive. So when you think about the impact that has on an individual, that really drives home their raison d'etre, their purpose in being the company that they are.
Absolutely. And then IAG, which is an insurance company, and I think this purpose statement would have been developed long before our current uncertainty, but it still speaks to our current uncertainty. It's to help people manage risk and recover from the hardship of unexpected loss. So let's get to, we've looked at what purpose is and what purpose is relative to vision. Let's look at what's important about purpose. So the first thing is it pushes an organization to focus on action rather than linger in the inspirational, like a vision statement. What about this next one, Colleen?
Great. And I mean, that's what we were talking about, was that the why. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we in the business that we're in, right? So when you think about it, it's a journey that's guided by those deeply held values and beliefs that inspire not only the organization, but yourself as well, the people in there, for wanting to make a difference. It's important for organizations to be able to have that guiding sense of what our purpose is, and then people will find the motivation and the inspiration when there's a match between their values and beliefs and what the organization is due, to really create that engagement and the level of inspiration that most organizations strive for.
Yes, and that reminds me as well, is when organizations lead that way, and when their people are engaged that way, then they engage the stakeholders, whether those are shareholders or customers or clients, in a different way as well. And people know that this organization and their people are coming from this strong sense of purpose, because it shows in their actions.
Absolutely.
And then the third point is it provides a shared way of moving forward together as a team. And I think the moving forward is really important right now. We could stay stuck right now. We could be waiting for things to be over, or for things to change. But the reality is that they're going to change, but they're not going to go back to the way they were before. So if we can start moving forward together as a team now, wow, isn't that important right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear this, we're going back, well, when things get back to normal. Well, I got news for you. It's not going to be back to normal. There's going to be a new norm, and we need to learn how to navigate that.
Exactly. So let's look at the how here. So, if I'm looking at wanting to lead from a stronger sense of purpose, I'd be wondering, how do I do that? And how do I work with my teams based on purpose? So the first of the 5 points here is, it's really important to collaboratively co-create purpose. This is not something that works well from a top-down approach. This is something that really generates that engagement when we can do it together. So let's go back and forth on these, Colleen. Would you share the next one?
So, we talked about how, you define the why. Why are we doing this? What's on that horizon presently that we're striving toward collectively to create what it is that we want to do things like Kellogg said, to nourish the world, right? So you've created that purpose, and now figure out as a team, how do we collectively together live on that purpose? And then, there's the co-creating it. Jamie, why don't you run us through that?
Yeah, so co-creating refers to having some sort of accountability around the purpose and check in on it frequently. So, I mean, this really relates to anything new that we're trying together as a team or an organization, is to agree on what it is that, agree on how we actually implement the purpose. Right? Because there's a purpose statement, and we might be inspired by that, but how do we actually act on it? And that's how do we hold each other accountable to that? So if we can define that up front and have an agreement around that, it's easier for us to support each other to stay on track with it.
Right. And then, in doing that, we need those open, respectful, hopefully trust building conversations, and doing that a lot, and doing it as individuals, as teams, and also throughout the organization. And a simple way of starting to do that is starting every meeting that you're going to be having with talking about purpose and helping everybody to understand how they're going to contribute to that purpose. How is what we're doing contributing to that purpose? What is it about purpose we might not understand? But having those conversations and the continual communication about your purpose.
Mm-hmm. And then over time, it's important to have touch points. So you talked about the messaging of this purpose and consistently doing that, reminding people of the context, reminding them of their part in it, in enacting the purpose. And then, this takes it a little bit further in having people share how they're living the purpose. So this might not happen at every meeting, but there might be, say, a monthly meeting where people are sharing, what was something that they did or noticed somebody else doing where they were living the purpose of the organization. And it's really important to acknowledge successes with this, whether those are collective with a team or as in something an individual has done. Well, we really thrive when we know we're doing things well, right? And it's important for us as leaders to acknowledge people when they catch them doing things right.
Absolutely.
So in summary, we looked at that difference between vision and purpose, with purpose being an organization's or team's reason for being. And I'm not going to say that in French because I won't say it properly. We shared some examples because we really wanted to highlight the difference between these two concepts that you hear about a lot in corporations. And we're putting the case forward here for purpose because purpose is something we can do something with in the here and now. It isn't dependent on something way in the future. And then Colleen, we shared about that importance of purpose and that it pulls people together, right? And it helps people co-create where they want to move next and helps them to support each other to do so. And then we looked at some of those elements about how to lead with purpose. Is there anything you want to add there, Colleen?
Yeah, just to add in there, I mean, one of the things we didn't explicitly talk about were benefits. So I just wanted to include that companies that are purpose-driven, they can be found in all kinds of industries all around the world. And the one thing that they have in common is a clear understanding of what they stand for and a willingness to stand in ways that create long-term value for the company and all the people that they serve. It's no longer a question of should an organization lead with purpose. It's about the how, and it's so important.
Mm-hmm. It is. It also gives that sense of belonging and inclusivity that we're hearing about more and more now. So we want to invite those of you who are listening to join us for our complimentary live leadership group forums that we have on Wednesdays at noon Mountain Daylight Time. They're half an hour long. And you can drop in. You don't have to have come to one before. The topic is explored, and it's really about what people want to be looking at for any particular day. And we'd love for you to join us. Just email us at navleadership.realities@gmail.com if you would like to join, and we'll provide you with a Zoom link and password. We don't record those half-hour conversations, and that's so that people can feel comfortable to be open and share challenges or opportunities that they're seeing in their current leadership. And the recordings, such as the one you're listening to now, are I don't know what the word is. They're parked in YouTube at Navigating Leadership Realities. So there's quite a few there if you are interested in listening to other topics that we've hosted. Colleen, is there anything else before we close up here?
I just want to say that I hope folks will join us for our next segment. We'll show you how to pivot in this new reality. And also, if you know of anyone that you think might be interested in joining in the conversation, feel free to send us an email. We're more than happy to send out the invite to them as well. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.